Welcome to the sixth part of our journey through Germany's large landscapes. The Brandenburg Gate, the Berlin Wall, the Golden Twenties. Berlin, which was first mentioned in 1244, played an important role in the history of Germany. Founded by merchants in 1237 as a trading center on the river Spree, the region, where Slavic immigrants had already settled in the 7th century, experienced an upswing to become an important trading center. Electors, kings, emperors, the labor movement, the Weimar Republic as Germany's first democratic government, National Socialism, and the division of Berlin. Traces of all the social developments that have made Germany what it is today can be found in this city. Berlin has been the capital of Germany since 31st of August 1990, as it was from 1871 to 1945, and is also the 14th largest federal state with an area of around 892 square kilometers. It has 3,782,202 inhabitants, who can enjoy numerous museums and other art and cultural institutions, Prussian palaces, parks and gardens, and zoos. This fascinating metropolis is home to 3 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, in addition to the palaces and gardens, the Museum Island, which forms an architectural synthesis of the arts with 5 world-famous museum buildings from the time of the Prussian rulers, and the modern James Simon Gallery, and the Berlin's modernist housing estates, which demonstrate the reforms in housing and estate construction with their combination of urban planning, architecture, and garden design, and the application of new social and hygiene standards. Berlin was also awarded the title of UNESCO City of Design. But it is not only art and culture that make the flair of this federal state so special. Berlin, which lies in the vast landscape of the North German lowlands, also has a lot to offer in terms of landscape. Almost 18% of its area is forested. Add green and recreational areas, including green spaces around schools and public buildings, meaning that around 38.5% of the city area is considered green and recreational space. Almost 450,000 trees line the streets of Berlin, including mainly deciduous trees such as linden, maple, oak, plane trees, and chestnut trees. "43 nature reserves, which cover around 3% of the state's area. More than 50 landscape conservation areas, which cover a further 14% of the state's area, and a share of the Barnim Nature Park, most of which is located in Brandenburg, make Berlin a green city. Berlin and its surroundings in Brandenburg were formed during the Vistula Ice Age around 20,000 years ago, when the area was covered by a Scandinavian ice sheet several hundred meters thick. When the glacier melted around 18,000 years ago, the Berlin Glacial Valley was formed. Today's districts of Berlin are located in the Berlin Glacial Valley on the Barnim Plateau. The Teltow Plateau, the Brandenburg-Potsdam-Havel area, and the Zehdenick-Spandau-Havel lowlands. The rivers Havel and Spree, as well as numerous tributaries such as the Panke, and Dahme, flow through Berlin, with the Havel often resembling a lake landscape. Its largest outcrops form the Tegeler See and the Großer Wannsee. The largest lake in Berlin, however, is the Müggeler See, with 7.4 square kilometers of water surface, which is one of the favorite excursion destinations for residents as well as for tourists. Berlin is a federal state with a rich history, a vibrant metropolis with an art and cultural program that is unique in Europe, beautiful palaces, parks, forests, and river landscapes that offer its inhabitants perfect conditions for leisure activities. In addition, there is Zoo Berlin, the oldest zoo in Germany and the most species-rich zoo in the world. And Tierpark Berlin, the largest landscape zoo in Europe. When your stomach starts to growl in the hustle and bustle of Berlin, Berlin favorites such as roast goose, knuckle of pork with sauerkraut, or carp or smoked eel can quickly remedy the situation. Berlin is surrounded by the next federal state on our journey, Brandenburg, with which it forms the European metropolitan region of Berlin-Brandenburg. Brandenburg borders Saxony to the south, Saxony-Anhalt to the west, Lower Saxony to the northwest, Mecklenburg Western Pomerania to the north, and Poland to the east. With an area of 29,654 square kilometers, it is the fifth largest federal state in Germany, with 34.9% of its area covered by forest. 2,581,667 inhabitants live here, 187,310 of whom live in the capital Potsdam. The core area of Brandenburg is also known by the historical name Mark Brandenburg. It was founded in 1157 when Duke Albrecht the Bear, who came from the Saxon noble family of the Ascanians, conquered Brandenburg and made the region part of the Holy Roman Empire. The Hohenzollern dynasty ruled the region from 1415 to 1918, making the Markgraviate the heartland of Prussia between 1701 and 1946. The province of Brandenburg, created in 1815, existed until 1947 and reached its greatest territorial extent during this time. After 1945, parts east of the Elbe and west of the Oder and Neisse rivers became the first state of Brandenburg, which was divided into various GDR districts in 1952 and only re-established as the state of Brandenburg after reunification in 1990. Like Berlin, Brandenburg's landscape is also located in the North German lowlands and is characterized by the lowlands and valleys created as a result of glacial processes. Rivers such as the Spree, Havel, Nute, and Dahme, and numerous canals flow through 33,000 kilometers of the state, as well as around 3,000 lakes, making it the most water-rich state in Germany. Brandenburg's river and lake landscapes are popular with holidaymakers from near and far. So tourism is also an important economic factor in this state, which also has rich coal and copper deposits. The maximum elevation of 201 meters is the Kutschenberg in the Oberspreewald-Lausitz region. But there are elevations of over 100 meters both in the north of the country, the Baltic or Northern Ridge, and in the south of Brandenburg, the Southern Ridge. In between are the plateaus, i.e. plateaus that rise only a few to a few dozen meters above their surroundings, such as the Nauener, the Teltow, or the Beeskoer Plateau. And the glacial valleys of Brandenburg, such as the Eberswalder Urstromtal, the Berliner Urstromtal, or the Baruter Urstromtal, as well as the partly drained lowland landscapes and bogs, such as the Oderbruch and the Spreewald. Despite the many lakes, This state also has large areas without natural bodies of water, such as in the Prignitz in the north of the state, or in the south, which also belongs to the landscape form of the old moraines, and it has very little precipitation overall, meaning that groundwater recharge is very slow. By 2025, Europe's largest artificial water landscape, the Lusatian Lakeland, will be created in the south of Brandenburg by flooding open-cast mining pits that are no longer in use. Parts of the beech forests in the north of the state were inscribed on the World Heritage List in 2011, including, for example, the flowering grass beech forests in the Krumsiner Forest and the Schorfheide-Korin Biosphere Reserve, which are considered to be the remains of the extensive beech forests that once existed in Central Europe. Brandenburg's 15 large protected areas and nature parks cover around a third of the state's area. The capital Potsdam shines with beautiful, partly historic buildings, such as the Sanssouci Palace and Park, the New Palace, or Cäcilienhof Palace. And small towns such as Brandenburg an der Havel, Templin, Prenzlau, or Neuruppin are perfect excursion destinations and offer not only nature and relaxation, but also deep insights into the history of the region. Brandenburg's cuisine is down to earth and very tasteful. Venison sausage with sauerkraut and fried potatoes, crumble cake with plums, and potatoes with curd and linseed oil are very popular here. We continue with Mecklenburg Western Pomerania, which borders Schleswig-Holstein to the northwest, Lower Saxony to the southwest, Brandenburg to the south, and Poland to the east. Bordered by the Baltic Sea in the north, it is the sixth largest state in the Federal Republic of Germany, with an area of 23,213 square kilometers. With only 1,628,378 inhabitants, it is also the most sparsely populated state in the country. Around 98,596 inhabitants live in its state capital Schwerin, but the only major city in Mecklenburg Western Pomerania is Rostock, an independent Hanseatic and university city which, with its picturesque location on the Baltic Sea, has become a home port for 200,000 inhabitants. The name Mecklenburg first appears in a document from the year 995, which Emperor Otto III drew on the Mickelburg. The part of the name Pomerania is of Slavic origin and in the course of the Middle Ages became the main designation of the dominion of the dynasty of the Griffins, i.e. the Dukes of Pomerania, and it is about as old as the name Mecklenburg. While the name Western Pomerania only emerged in the 16th or 17th century as a designation for the areas of the Duchy of Pomerania lying west of the Oder. Following an order from the Soviet military administration, the former state of Mecklenburg was united with some areas west of the Oder-Neiße line in the summer of 1945. The new administrative entity was referred to as Mecklenburg Western Pomerania, Mecklenburg Pomerania, or just Mecklenburg, until the Soviet occupying power established Mecklenburg as the binding name from February 1947. It was not until the state was reconstituted as a federal state in autumn 1990 that the state was once again given the name Mecklenburg Western Pomerania, now with a new territorial layout based on the three northern GDR districts of Rostock, Schwerin, and Neubrandenburg. The landscape of Mecklenburg Western Pomerania was formed during the last ice age, and although it lies in the large landscape of the North German lowlands, the landscape here is hilly in places. This is due to the masses of debris left behind by the glaciers after they melted, which formed the glacial valleys and many lakes and rivers. In the north of the state lies the Baltic Sea coast, which is lined with many bodden and hafs, i.e. small islands and peninsulas, and thus has a coastline of 1,900 kilometers. Divided into the Mecklenburg and Pomeranian bays, there are many different stretches of coastline here, where cliffs and chalk cliffs alternate with flat beaches, making this coastal landscape very attractive. The Western Pomeranian Bay, where there are more bays than in the Bay of Mecklenburg, is home to the Western Pomeranian Lagoon Landscape National Park. Off the coast are hundreds of smaller islands and peninsulas such as Pöhl, Bustrow, Bittensee, Ummanz, and others, as well as the two largest islands in Germany, Rügen and Usedom, which make this federal state one of the most popular holiday destinations for domestic and foreign tourists. Covering 926 square kilometers, the largest island of Rügen offers breathtaking views of the famous chalk cliffs of Rügen, such as the Königsstuhl, which is one of the 30 highest mountains in Mecklenburg Western Pomerania at 117.9 meters high, and offers a particularly spectacular sight. In the northeast, on the Jasmund Peninsula, lies the Peakberg, which at 161 meters is the fifth highest mountain in the state, but barely stands out from its surroundings of roughly the same height. whether on rasender Roland, by bus or by bike. Rügen offers many wonderful excursion destinations, enchanting seaside resorts, and protected areas that make hiking an experience. The Rügendamm connects the island with the mainland. The second largest island in Germany, Usedom, half of which belongs to Poland, scores with many hours of sunshine a year and its fine sandy beaches. Like Rügen, Usedom is also connected to the mainland via a bridge. Or to be precise, there are 2 bridges to the mainland. From the coastal areas of the state across the lowlands of Western Pomerania with the Peene Valley stretching along both sides of the Peene, the Friedländer Große Wiese Moor, and the Ueckermünde Heath, you reach the hilly hinterland of the Mecklenburg-Brandenburg Lake District. This area lies on the Baltic Ridge, which stretches along the southern Baltic Sea from Shetland to Estonia. In the region known as Mecklenburg Switzerland, the hills are predominantly forested. There are many lakes, and there is a lot of arable farming. The highest mountains in the state, the Runa Berge at 177 meters in the west and the Hauptberge at 179 meters in the east, can also be found in the hinterland. Finally, the Mecklenburg Lake District lies in the far south, stretching 240 kilometers from northwest to southeast across the state. It is also part of the Baltic Ridge, and as it stretches all the way to Brandenburg, it is sometimes referred to as the Mecklenburg-Brandenburg Lake District. The towns and villages of Schwerin, Wismar, Waren, Röbel, and Neustrelitz are located here, as are many of the most famous and largest lakes, such as the Müritz, der Schweriner See, the Plauer See, or the Krakauer See. Most of the lakes are connected by rivers that either flow into the Baltic Sea, such as the Recknitz, or into the Elbe and ultimately into the North Sea, such as the Elde and the Sude. At 209 kilometers, the Elde is also the longest river in the state and flows through several lakes in the southwest until at Dömitz it flows into the Elbe via the Elde Lateral Canal. With 2,200 lakes, Mecklenburg Western Pomerania is one of the federal states with the most lakes. 4 of the largest lakes in Germany are located in the state. For example, the Müritz, with an area of 112.6 square kilometers, is the largest lake located entirely in Germany. As most of these lakes are connected by rivers and canals, they are a paradise for houseboat owners and canoeists. A varied coastal region, a flat landscape interspersed with hills, where you can experience adventures on numerous rivers and lakes in a houseboat, canoe, or rowing boat, and charming cities such as the university city of Rostock or Stralsund, where you can visit the Ozeaneum Stralsund, for example, and learn a lot about the history of the region and the marine fauna of the Baltic Sea. Mecklenburg Western Pomerania is a federal state with extraordinary natural landscapes, beautiful cities, and a very special flair. Matthias with housewife sauce and fried pies, Mecklenburger rib roast with prunes and apples, or Wroken stew. The regional food is delicious and you're sure to get your money's worth here. Thank you for watching. We hope you've enjoyed our video and we wish you a wonderful time. See you next time.